So Teresa, thank you for the note. Let me know what's kind of going on there with combining the four files. I'm going to stick with just combining the four files on this one, but the PSD files are great for draft area because then I can kind of really go in and make a lot of changes to different things. And I think when I go to the assignment, I'm going to try to make some suggestions about some of the things going on with this. But for right now, I want to focus on combining these four. And there's probably a couple reasons why you might have run into problems here. But let's first take a look at all four of these initially. So let's go ahead and fit these to the screen. I'm going to have to make them pretty small to see them. And I'm just going to do that through the navigator rather than doing shortcuts, just so you can see what's going on. When you kind of do split screens, it's important to make sure that the file you're working with, you can see. I'm also going to need to turn off these rulers. I was using them for something else differently. So let me go around just to give us that extra little space. So there we go. So now that we've got a little bit of room, I think one of the things that probably was going on was you've got a lot of these shapes kind of extending off, which is fine when you're working on it. And then the PSD files have the different layers, and all of this can lead to a number of problems in combining them. The first thing you may have kind of tried to do was select all, and then edit, and then copy merged would have been helpful. But the problem is if you bring that and copy the merge here, you'd have to be careful about how you layer things. I don't know, since you're kind of running into problems, let's approach this at the simplest kind of solution. And to do that, I would just say save them all as JPEGs. So kind of doing this process, going to save as, pick your JPEG. I'm not going to save it because I don't want the file saved. But then once you do that, instead of what that'll do is that it's going to flatten your image for you, and that's going to get rid of all these different layers, and you don't really need those right now. There's different ways to do that. You can merge them individually, but once you get rid of the layers, it's going to be easier to kind of merge these for you. So let's go ahead and do that here individually. And I'm assuming they're all the same file size. I'll find out here very quickly. So with that being the case, ideally, you should give them each a border. And let's go ahead and show you. There's plenty of time to do that. So 1 inch border in between. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say I want to have, let's start with just the in between here. So I want the width to be 7 and I want the height to be 9. Okay, so that's going to be my border. And that's probably pretty big for this, but that's something that, with time you can work on. How you're going to do percent-wise, you've got 4 of these, so you want it twice as wide, so 200%, twice as tall, 200%. Okay, and I forgot to anchor it, so that's my first problem. I'll undo that. So go back, image canvas size. I'm going to anchor that again, top left, and I'll just do it manually this time, 14 and 18, just to double those. So now it's anchored. We can see it here. I'm going to shrink it down so I can see better what's going on. In this next step, I'll just go to my next one, select all, Control A, edit, copy, come over here, Control V, put it in the corner. Ideally, I would leave grid and snap on. I'm not going to make those changes right now. You can kind of work on that a little bit later. Come down here, go to the next one, Control A again, edit, copy, bring it in here. And I think once you flatten it, you'd have probably had an easier time, or saved them as a JPEG. Both were kind of leading to the same thing of flattening your layers. And that's what I was looking to do. And also with that, of trimming that excess area. That 1 inch border is immense right now. I don't know if I'd have gone that high again, but maybe that would work for you. So Control V one more time, bring in your fourth one. And now I can go to working just with a single image. Zoom. And then I would give this a border of itself, image canvas size. I need 1 inch around each side, so 1 inch for each, so it's not 1 inch down. Okay, and there would be my border. Again, I would have probably made this smaller on the inside, probably just ½ an inch. But I think you get the idea of where that goes from there. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I think just flattening your image would have solved your initial problem there. Looks like I might have copied the same image twice, but hopefully if there's any questions, just let me know.